Now that the United Kingdom has announced a loan of $2.8 billion to Ukraine, how well positioned is the European Union to back Ukraine in the absence of funding from the United States in its war against Russia? And what exactly is EU doing? How much of an influence is deep state on EU? Has it completely taken over many of the countries that are so-called democracies in the West and the fledgling democracies of the Central Europe? What is going on? All that and more in this very riveting presentation. Please do like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe. Here we go. EU and NATO in shambles. A special thanks to Kannan Ramsamy for the research. We have used it and we've also added more to it. Wonderful compilation of facts and figures. So what has happened? The United States appears to want to detach itself from NATO, from the European Union, and it also looks like less and less interested in what is happening at the United Nations. First thing that Trump did in his first few days of office, that he said that the US would no longer support NATO's efforts in Ukraine and Europe, urging EU nations to handle their trade and military engagements with Russia independently. See, right now, the amount of as a percentage of GDP, the amount of defense spending some of these countries are doing is sometimes very shocking, like less than 1%, because they're all thinking we have the NATO umbrella. But what Trump has said is, but you guys are getting all the protection, we are doing all the arms development, all the R&D, you're not contributing to that. So we either get paid more, or we are going to pull out of NATO and let you fend for yourselves. So this thing may happen not immediately, but over time. So this is something that the EU should be conscious of and aware of. So let us wait and see how well is EU prepared should such an eventuality happen. Well, France wants to do a Brexit. Not Macron, but his main non-left opponent, Marine Le Pen, said that she and her party would advocate for Brexit, just like Brexit, adding pressure on President Macron, who must choose between assuming EU financial leadership or exiting the Union. We know for a fact that Germany is one of the most affected parties in all this fracas with China, and it's no longer the industrial behemoth that it once was. So the Western Europe mostly, they are thinking that it should be France that should assume the leadership, but is France prepared? And what about France's own financial situation? All these are going to be discussed here. France faces numerous challenges. For example, the African colonies that used to pay for oil, gas, mineral, gems, and uranium supplies, all those things have dried up. So France has its own challenges. What about Germany? Angela Merkel's policy of accepting mass migration from North Africa and Middle East created social and economic strains. The deep state allegedly disrupted Germany's energy lifeline by damaging the Nord Stream pipeline. This is still out. The jury is still out as to who really damaged those lines. Because some say that Ukraine did it, but then is Ukraine part of deep state, or is it part of the US alliance? What is really going on? What is the stance of Ukraine? So we still, let us leave it at that. Unknowns have gotten rid of the Nord Stream pipelines. Now, Germany faces a huge economic crisis because what used to be dirt cheap oil and gas has completely dried up, and they have to pay a lot more for heating gas and also for transportation and so on. US concessions under Biden encouraged German industries to relocate to America, weakening Germany's economy. So that was the other thing. US gave some trade concessions that encourage you, like for example, some of the automotive industries, they have relocated to United States. Chancellor Olaf Scholz faces defeat. We know that he's almost gone, and the numbers are still coming in, but a lot of complaints about the mismatches and allegations of rigging and so on and happening in Germany. Also, it is not clear if you have to be a citizen of Germany to vote or not. There are lots of things. The AfD is creating a lot of ruckus. Whoever assumes power, it is my contention that it will not be more than 12 to 18 months. It will fall and they will go to elections again, hopefully with a more convincing verdict. What about Italy? Looks like Italy is recovering better than the other countries, and it's also realigning itself more with the non-left. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni aligned Italy with Trump's right-wing economic policies, reviving Italy's economy post-COVID. China's alleged plan to destabilize Italy's economy using COVID was thwarted by Meloni's leadership. But what about the smaller EU nations? What about them? Well, some of them are completely dependent on EU and NATO for financial support. Baltic countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Finland are exceptions because they have big energy deposits. But the other countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, or Romania, Bulgaria, and so on and so forth, not so much. They do need help. I think, I don't want a visitor to say, no, we are self-sufficient. This is what is hinted in the research that we have got. I stand corrected if some of you can provide a document that refute what is assumed in these hangout. The deep state reportedly installed inexperienced, left-leaning, but good-looking. The leaders are always good-looking in these nations who are now under pressure as their influence wanes. UK's economy completely in shambles post-Brexit, and it is allegedly influenced by the deep state. The increasing Muslim population is putting a tremendous strain on the economic resources and the actual finances of the country. And also, Keir Starmer's policies are accelerating this economic decline. The deep state influence and regime changes are many. They are accused of orchestrating regime changes across Europe. In Romania, the victor in the recently concluded elections was jailed before he could go in to claim victory, because it was not his candidate. It was not the deep state's candidate. Can you believe that? What is going on in Europe? Many European leaders now publicly criticize the US and Trump under pressure from the deep state, though their influence is waning. You saw that play out after that meeting of Zelensky in the White House. Now, many of the European countries, I've told you that on Sunday morning, I had one hangout where I listed all the countries. The Ukraine war has pushed several EU nations to the brink of bankruptcy as they relied on financial aid from the deep state and the US government. France risks economic collapse if it attempts to financially support struggling EU economies. Trump's disengagement from NATO and Europe has forced European countries to reassess their defense and economic strategies. While all this is happening, Russia's influence in Europe may increase. Why? Because Russia is sitting on huge deposits of energy and many other things, commodities, and the population is not very high. It's not a very big populated country, Russia. So historically, European countries like UK, France, Spain, Portugal, and Germany, they became rich because of their colonization, and they exploited the resources of other nations. I'm still saying that the killing of 6 million Indians in Bengal due to the Bengal famine was mostly caused because Churchill took the produce from there and sent it to the people who were fighting the World War II. It was India's rice, India's wheat, India's agricultural products that was taken away from here. And I still don't see much research going into it. However, I'm going to be able to try and get access to that. Just stay tuned on that, because we have some experts who are looking into it. The current economic and political crises in Europe are seen as a form of karmic retribution, marking the end of their global domination. What is the new era pointing to? The new era is pointing to increasing engagement between the United States and Russia, and this could actually put pressure on EU to up its own defense spending, as well as to try and find out how they can exist and thrive without the United States giving them all sorts of help and aid by way of NATO and other assistances. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.